Joining us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton. Harry, we're talking about tariffs here. You're just hearing that conversation. Has Trump push for tariffs been successful in the minds of the American people?
No. No is the simple answer. I mean, I think that Americans have moved more against tariff than any other major Trump policy that he's been pushing during this second term. What are we talking about here? Well, why don't we just look at this? New tariffs on imported goods. You go back to November of 2024, the majority, 52%, were in favor of it. Look at where we are now in 2025, in the fall of 2025. 60% of Americans are opposed to Trump's tariffs. So we're talking about a 4-point margin in favor, switcheroo, now to a 20-point margin against. And of course, there was all this news coming out of the World Series, right? Canada tariffs. We're not just talking China, we're talking Canada and tariffs. And get this, we're talking about just 36%, as I look at my little footnote here on the bottom, who support new tariffs against Canada. So the bottom line is this. If I were advising President Donald John Trump when it comes to his policies, I'd say step off the tariffs, at least from a political point of view, because the bottom line is it doesn't sell with the American people. It's one of the largest shifts that we have seen during Trump's second term in office.
Yeah, I mean, the difference here might be that the economy has not greatly improved, and they're sort of seeing that this isn't going hand in hand. All right, what about how Americans feel towards our Canadian neighbors? Longtime friends, they're always considered to be the nicest people.
Yes.
What are they feeling now?
So, picking a fight with China is one thing. Picking a fight with Canada is just something totally different here. So what are you talking about? Net popularity in the United States. Well, Canada is far more popular than Donald Trump is here in the United States. Look at this. The net popularity rating of Canada is plus 49 percentage points. Look at the net popularity rating of Donald Trump here in the United States. It's minus 10. We're talking about Canada coming out nearly 60 points ahead on the net popularity rating versus Donald Trump here in the United States. When you pick on Canada as a United States president, you are picking on a country that the American people adore. They adore Canada. Canada has always been a friend to the United States, at least during our lifetimes. And when you're going after Canada, you are going against someone who is far more popular than you are with Donald Trump. Pretty much every single time among most Americans, Americans will choose Canada over Donald Trump, yet Trump has decided to pick yet another fight with somebody or some entity or some country that is more popular than he is.
Any president would love to see that number under their name.
The last president that had this type of number was George W. Bush back in the early 2000s. No president has come anywhere close to how popular Canada is right now, and Donald Trump certainly is a long, long, long away. He cannot see Canada from his house when it comes to his net popularity.
All right, let's reverse this. How do Canadians feel about the United States?
They think that Donald Trump's a big hoser. That's what they think. They hate Donald Trump. They hate everything that he's doing. Canadians who say America is an enemy or potential threat, look in 2023, it was 7%. Look how high it's gone now. We're talking about 48%. We're talking about a nearly 48-point jump. And the Trump administration, my dear friends, has a net popularity rating in Canada of minus, get this, 58 points. So Americans love Canada, but Canadians no longer love the United States of America. Sarah?
Oh, Canada.
Oh, you went over there. Look at that.
Oh, Canada. I ran away from you because I don't want the Canadians mad with me. Thank you so much, Harry Enton.
Bye.
All right, joining us now, Pennsylvania Congressman Brendan Boyle, ranking member on the Budget Committee and on the Ways and Means Committee. Thank you so much for being here. Let's talk about this. Donald Trump in Asia saying, look, the two countries have agreed to a framework for a trade deal. At the same time, he has lashed out at Canada once again, imposing a new and extra 10% tariff on Canada, basically because he was angry with an ad that they put out by the Ontario province. You're a ranking member on the Budget Committee and the Ways and Means Committee. I mean, what do you make of these two moves by the president?
Well, first, in terms of Canada, not only is it perhaps, and in my view, our greatest ally and certainly our closest ally, it is also one of our major trading partners. Frankly, about 40% of our trade is only with three countries, Canada, Mexico, and China combined. So Donald Trump is doing real damage, not to Canada alone, but to the American people. The reality is the Trump tariff taxes are deeply unpopular because they make life harder and more expensive for everyone. Now, in terms of China, his announcement, if that's what you want to call it, that we perhaps have the framework of a deal, Well, it doesn't really excite me very much. I'm not going to give an arsonist credit for possibly putting out the fire that he started in the first place.
That is one way to put it, Congressman. Congressman Boyle, your Republican colleague from Pennsylvania, Congressman McCormick, said this to our Manu Raju about negotiating with Democrats. When it comes to reopening the government, we are now getting closer and closer to a historically long shutdown. Here's what he said.
You can't negotiate with a terrorist. So what's happening right now is that the Democrats are trying to ask for something extremely unreasonable. You can have any negotiation discussion you want about extending health care benefits, but you can't start with you're going to shut down the government to get that. So
now, he was given a chance to walk back calling Democrats terrorists in that interview. He didn't, but after the interview, he said that he meant the Democrats were hostage takers. How can you work together if this is what your Republican colleague thinks of you?
Yeah, well, first, I mean, it's absolutely outrageous for a Republican member of Congress, the Senate, to call any Democrat a terrorist. I certainly wouldn't use that language for any of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. In terms of the substance of what he said, what he thinks is so unreasonable is the fact that we're saying we want everything to operate as it currently does while we negotiate. That means no health care cuts to the American people, period. These are the Republican cuts that were included in their tax bill a few months ago. This is the bill that Donald Trump used to call the one big beautiful bill until it became so deeply unpopular that he just suddenly stopped talking about it. The reason why it's so deeply unpopular is that it includes taking away health care, according to CBO, from more than 15 million Americans and making premiums more expensive for millions and millions more, mostly to pay for tax cuts that go to very wealthy people, people in the top 1%. So that's what I'm fighting for. I don't think it's so unreasonable at all. And I am encouraged by the fact that most polls show that the American people, by a small majority, actually agree with the Democratic position over the Republican one.
The Pentagon says it will use $130,000 donated by an anonymous donor and friend of Donald Trump to pay some members of the military during the shutdown. Are you okay with this?
You know, on the one hand, I think at first glance, you give credit to any private citizen who would say he doesn't want anyone in the military to go without a paycheck and that he's voluntarily kicking in some of his own millions. He obviously has a lot of millions to spare. But on further examination, it is worrying that this ends up actually being more of a cost than it's worth. And what I mean is, what is Mr. Mellon getting in return for this sort of incredibly large contribution? The conflict of interest rules that used to apply until the Trump administration just decided to ignore them would actually prevent something like this from happening. So, again, on the one hand, I give credit to this individual for acting in such a way to ensure that our soldiers don't go without a paycheck. But I am deeply worried about the conflict of interest this presents and what he may be getting in return, kind of the quo part of a quid pro quo.
All right, Congressman Brendan Boyle, thank you so much for getting in early this morning and having a chance to chat with us. Appreciate it.